All right, let's talk the idea of industry plants because there there is some validity to an industry plant, and it shouldn't be called a plant. It should be called an industry investment. An industry investment. This is who the industry has decided is their best bet. They have sunk a lot of money into producing the PR, the TikTok campaigns. That is what you're seeing and you're thinking is an industry plant. Now, do exist in the sense of your label has decided this is probably our smartest investment. And I'm just thinking, there's like an artist right now that's, her EP just came out. She's a pop star. She's great. Her music's fantastic. And I started seeing her stuff come up on TikTok like about a year ago. And it was to the point that I was like, wow, this girl, like I was really inspired by her because I was like, wow, she's really doing something right in the sense that like I'm always getting her videos. Like every like 3 or 4 like TikToks, I swear to God, I'm always seeing her stuff. And so I kind of clocked it as like, oh, I should take some notes from this girl. She's clearly doing something right. And not to say that she's not, but like after some time I realized that, well, the thing that tipped me off was like when she released her video, it was art directed by a guy who's like major in the industry. And so I was like, okay, like you got some big bucks behind you if you hired that guy. And so all it took was like once she released her EP, looking on Spotify at what label she's under, and I can clearly see like you are the number one investment that your label is sinking their money into. That's why people who are truly independent would look at you and be like, oh, you're an industry plant because all of a sudden I'm seeing you everywhere. All of a sudden you're opening for these major people. Of course you're opening for these major people. They're also signed to the label you're under. Like, there's not... You did earn it, but there is a sense of like, it's not organic that I was seeing your videos every 4 videos. Your label was pumping money into that. Your label paid a lot of money for your EP release to be promoted on here. And that's why you got 500,000 views on that video. It's not organic, and that's okay. But that's why people have this conversation about a plant, because really there is a barrier that true independent artists, unless you are, you just have a lot of money that you can sink into. The reality is if you have, 100 grand that you can sink into this, really 500,000, then you can industry plant yourself. But like, if you don't have that kind of money, then you do need a label to be able to have that kind of trajectory, to be able to open for these big artists, to be able to play the troubadour and all of I'm not saying you can't play the troubadour as an indie artist, because people do. But when you see these kind of people who it's like their debut music video is done by like a major art director, like that's when we are like, yeah, industry plant, because you have access to the best resources in the industry and the resources of a major label. And I feel like there's this trend on here on TikTok where these new artists, I mean, I guess artists never really led like really forward, like label forward in their branding, but like I feel like now it's almost cooler to like seem like you're an independent artist and try to hide how much of a label, how much of actually an industry investment you are. Because then I feel like when the audience knows that this is just money that's being pumped so that you're poster cooked, then they're like, do I actually like this? Or is this just some shit that the industry's feeding me again? And guys, this has always existed. Think about the first time you heard Katy Perry on the radio. Like, I Kissed a Girl came out of nowhere. It was called Payola back then. Like, and that still exists too. So it's not industry plants, it's industry investments. That's what it is.